Hi, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for joining me again. Today, I have a brand new story to share with you, one that's deeply personal, painful, and complicated. It's about betrayal, heartbreak, and, surprisingly, a path to happiness I never expected. Let me start with a simple scene. Our dining room. Once we set it up, we barely used it, preferring the cozy warmth of the kitchen instead. That's where I had my work desk, a beautifully detailed piece with more than enough space to keep my things in order. I've always been a bit obsessive about cleanliness, and the soft, diffused light pouring through the windows made it the perfect spot for me. That afternoon, I was there, focused, lost in my work, when I heard the sharp click of high heels on the hardwood floor. The sound was unfamiliar. She never used to wear heels around the house. "Donald," she called. I didn't respond right away, too absorbed in what I was doing, but after a moment, I shouted back, "I'm here. Can you come in for a minute?" When she appeared in the doorway, I noticed everything. The way she rolled her eyes like I was wasting her time, the way her posture seemed tense, impatient. At 47, Sherry was still a striking woman, tall, graceful, with a figure that had barely changed since we married 27 years ago. She had always kept herself fit, never having gone through the physical toll of pregnancy. I used to admire her chestnut hair, but about 4 months ago, she went blonde, a change I didn't quite understand. It wasn't a bad look, just not her. "What is it?" she asked, voice clipped. She was clearly in a rush. I gently pulled her closer, but her body was stiff, no warmth, no ease. Still, I kept my voice calm. "I won't take long," I reassured her. "Besides, I have a feeling your meeting might be canceled." Her eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" I gestured for her to sit, and with a dramatic sigh, she dropped into the chair across from me. "Thanks," I said softly, keeping my expression neutral. "I just want you to think carefully and be honest with me. This isn't a hypothetical. Tell me, in monetary terms, how much do you think intimacy with you is worth?" Her head jerked back. "What?" I leaned forward slightly, my voice steady. "Do you believe different acts have different values? I know escorts charge varying rates. I'm not exactly sure how much a woman might ask for her affection, but I assume it's quite a bit. I need your help setting a baseline for research." She blinked at me, speechless. "In your opinion," I continued, "is your value closer to that of a high-class courtesan, or more like a street worker? Or should I aim for something in the middle? Should I factor in enthusiasm, skill, seductive elements, lingerie, mood-lighting candles? What about indulgences like strawberries and chocolate? And of course, there's always the appeal of motels and other out-of-the-way places." Her mouth fell open. "This isn't funny, Donald. It's ridiculous." Full name mode, a sure sign she was angry. I kept going, my tone still calm. "Oh, I get it, Sherry. It's absurd, just like everything has been since you started flirting with Jameson." Her face darkened. "So it's Jameson now, is it?" She shot back. "I told you. There's nothing going on between us." I smirked. "Jameson, Jameson, Jameson. Or should I say, Jimmy Jam." I chuckled. "That's what his friends call him, right? Honestly, that suits him better. Sounds like a backwoods rapper, doesn't it? Rapping about his pickup truck, partying, and maybe even having flings with married women." Her jaw tightened. She wasn't laughing. I sighed, softening my tone. "I'm sorry, Sher. I got off track. Let's focus on something more practical." Her gaze didn't waver, but there was a flicker of uncertainty behind her eyes. "You see," I continued, "I wasn't sure about coming here at first. Even though my career was going well, I wasn't convinced this place was right for me. But over time, I began to appreciate it. Yesterday was nice. I even played a round of golf in late February. The weather was unpredictable, but I decided to stay." I let the silence settle before delivering the blow. "Do you know what I love most about this place?" I asked softly. "It's one of the few states where you can still file an alienation of affection lawsuit." Her face paled. "That's right," I said. "You can actually sue someone for interfering in your marriage. It's rare these days, but it's still a thing. Of course, Winning requires solid evidence, but the possibility is there. That's why I've been doing some research. I've compiled a report outlining behaviors, frequencies, methods of observation. I've got a few video recordings, witness statements, enough to build a strong case. I leaned back in my chair, watching her carefully. But I need your help with one last detail, I said softly. How much, sir? How much is a night with you worth? Consider a consultation. After all, my lawyer thinks this approach has real potential. Her hand trembled on the table. Donald, this is insane. I smiled. Not really. My lawyer thinks it could redefine how these cases are handled. Raise the financial stakes. Encourage settlements. Judges love a clear monetary baseline. Makes their job easier. Her breathing quickened. Of course, I added. If you don't want to cooperate, my lawyer will ensure your involvement is thoroughly documented, step by step. The room fell into silence. I watched as Sherry's face shifted from fury to disbelief to something else entirely, resignation. She swayed slightly, then, as if the air had been knocked out of her, sank slowly to the floor. It wasn't a dramatic collapse, more like a balloon quietly deflating. I stood, folded my research, and placed a neat stack of papers on her chest. She'd find it when she woke up. In the meantime, I had dinner plans with Mrs. Jimmy Jam. Turns out, I wasn't the only one doing research. Jameson's wife was all too happy to share his dirty little secrets. Over ribs and cornbread at the best barbecue joint in town, she told me about the other women. Apparently, sure wasn't his only conquest. I'm thinking of writing a book, she joked. Might call it Life of the Dog. We laughed. In the end, things unfolded faster than I expected. Sure fought for 5 months to save our marriage, promising it was a mistake, swearing she learned her lesson, but I was already gone. The papers were signed. Jameson didn't fare much better. His wife sued him for everything. The house, a piece of his car dealership, and even helped me connect with the husbands of the other women he'd been seeing. 3 years passed before I thought about dating again. But then I met someone, a fiery redhead with 2 young sons. She teased me at first, calling me old-fashioned for holding doors and pulling out chairs, until I finally told her, if you don't like being treated like a lady, that's your choice. But if you're with me, that's how I'll treat you. That changed everything. A year later, I asked her sons to carry the rings at our wedding. The youngest, confused, asked if he had to be the flower girl. I chuckled and pulled him into my lap. No, kiddo, you'll carry the ring. 5 years later, we have a daughter. And now, those same boys grumble about babysitting their little sister. As for sure, I never saw her again. According to my brother, she's working 2 jobs and living alone. And you know what? I don't regret it. Not for a second. Because that betrayal, that heartbreak, led me here, to a family I never saw coming, and to happiness I never thought I'd have.